What's up, you guys? It's Graham here. So it finally happened, and we are celebrating today because for the last 9 years, my credit score has never once surpassed the legendary 800 score. I got it once to 799, but it was just never able to break past it. That was until today. We did it. The credit overlords have bestowed their greatness upon thee, and my score has finally passed the 800 mark, which, by the way, is a threshold in which most people would consider it to be a perfect score, which also means I could finally make a video about it on YouTube about how to get a perfect score. Now here's why all of this matters in the first place. Your credit score is really just a report card of how well you handle your money. Like in school, you'll do well on your exams and tests to get a good grade, but in life, you handle your money responsibly and you get a good credit score. And having a good credit score isn't just something you look at online and then go and make videos about on YouTube, but you can do that. Although it does have a pretty practical purpose where it could save you a lot of money, and even better, I guarantee this video could easily save you or make you a few $1,000s at minimum if you actually just follow it and do it. It's not going to take you a lot of time, it's super easy to do, and the best part about all of this is that it's not going to cost you any money out of pocket to get an 800 score. So it's entirely free to do. Again, it's just going to take a little bit of your time. And all I ask for in return is a quick like on the video to help with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're feeling a little bit generous today, maybe just a comment down below to help boost it up too. So if you wouldn't mind doing just a like and a comment, and that's it. Otherwise, enjoy the video. Now first, in order to understand how you can get a perfect score, you gotta understand how the system scores you in the first place. Like I said, just like you've got a class that grades you differently for homework, test assignments, attendance, and whether or not you actually smash the like button, your credit score grades you on several different factors as well. So if you want a perfect score, you have to do well on all of them. First is your on-time payment history, and this makes up 35% of missing one payment. That means the credit overlords take 59 on-time payments, divide that by 60 total payments, and you have a 98.3% payment ratio. And as you can see from the Credit Karma score calculator, that puts you in the yellow, which is not good. That is unacceptable if you want to get a perfect score. However, in a different example, let's say you've now had 2 credit cards each for 60 months and you end up missing one payment. Well, now you have a total of 120 credit payments between 2 credit cards, which means that they take 119 on-time payments, divide that by 120 total payments between the 2 cards, and that means you've paid 99.1% on time, which puts you in the green category as far as Credit Karma is concerned, which is a little bit better. And as one more example, let's just say you're brand new to building credit, you have 1 credit card, you've had it for 15 months, and you end up missing 1 payment. Well, the same calculation still applies. You have 14 on-time payments, divide that by 15 total, that if you end up missing 1 by mistake, that still means you've paid 99.8% on time, which is not the end of the world. Now, when it comes to paying off a credit card on time, the really good news with this is that for them to count it as an on-time payment, you just have to make the minimum payment every single month, which most of the time is really just like $25 to $50 a month. So even in the worst case scenario, if you can't afford to pay off your credit card bill in full, just make the minimum payment on time every single month, and that will help keep your score intact in this category. Which, like I said, all of this is the most important part of your score, making up 35% of what it is. Just ask Dave Ramsey. Now, besides that, the second factor that makes up your credit score is known as what's called the credit utilization, that makes up 30% of your score. Now, in order to get a perfect score, the credit bureaus just want to see that you're not out there just maxing out all of your credit cards, and that you're only using a small percentage of the overall credit that you have available to you. Ideally, you want to be spending under 10% of your total credit limit, and that makes the credit bureaus very angry, and they're going to lower your score. On the other hand, if you have the same 1 credit card with $10,000 limit, you spend $6,000, but you pay it off in full when it's due, that means you now owe $0 on a $10,000 credit line, which shows that you have a 0% credit utilization, which makes the credit bureaus very happy and gives you a green category. Now, there are some ways around this because it's not the dollar amount that the almighty credit gods care about, it is the percentage of credit that you actually use. So this means if you have a $300 credit line and you go out and spend $300, that just means you've maxed out your card, you have a 100% credit utilization, and that's very bad. But if you go and spend that same $300, although this time you have a $30,000 credit line, then that's showing that you only have a 1% credit utilization, which is really good. Now, one of the techniques I use to help with this is just to have a lot of available credit with all really high limits. For instance, right now, I have over 12 credit cards, and many of them have over it's going to cost you more money in interest. So it's always better to pay it off in full by the time it's due and never carry a balance on a credit card ever. So for you watching, if you want to get a perfect credit score, it's really important that you try to keep a balance of 5% or less of your available credit. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't go out there and spend more than 5% of your available credit, but it does mean that you should pay it down before the statement cycle is over so that way the credit bureaus have less money to report on. Now, in addition to that, it will help you to go and get more credit cards, as counterintuitive as that is to say, because that will help increase the total credit limit you have available to you, which will decrease your overall credit utilization. And finally, I strongly recommend you ask for a credit limit increase every 6 to 12 months on your credit cards. This way, you're going to be constantly lowering your overall credit utilization and helping to improve your score. Now, just remember, don't go out there spending more money just because you have more credit available to you. I think that goes without saying. All of this should really be done as a tactic to help increase your credit score and not go out there and buy more things you don't need, like the percent of your overall credit score is made up by the average length of your credit history. This just means the longer you've had credit for and the sooner you start, the better. This is one of the reasons I highly recommend people to build their credit as soon as they possibly can, even if it means going and getting a credit card the day you turn 18. This will build the entire foundation of your credit history very early on. Now, it's very important for me to distinguish here that this is calculated by the average length of your total credit history and not the total length. And let me explain. Let's just say you've opened one credit card 4 years ago. That would mean your average credit history shows as 4 years. But if you opened up that one credit card 4 years ago and then you opened up another new credit card today, your average credit history would be reduced now to 2 years. Remember, because it only takes the average. The same also applies if you end up closing an old credit line, because some people believe it's a good idea just to close old credit cards they don't use anymore. This could be really bad, because once you close off an old credit card, even though it'll still show in your account for 7 to 10 years, the thing you could do at this point is just wait. This part of building your credit just takes time, so don't be impatient if you've just got a credit card and made a few on-time payments and don't yet have a 760 score. Patience goes a long way with this one, so sometimes you're just going to need to wait this one out. And in terms of how long you'll need to wait, according to the Credit Karma Guide, they want you to have 9 years or more of average credit history to get the best ranking. And even for me, my average account length shows just over 4 years because of all of the new credit I've taken out recently. And still, it doesn't make a huge difference because it only makes up 15% of your total credit score, and I've done every other category very well. Now, the fourth aspect of your credit score is how many lines of credit do you have open, and this makes up 10% of your score. Now, this is one of those things that you would think makes absolutely no sense. Like, why would you go and reward someone for going and opening up more credit cards and taking out more loans? You would think that the person who doesn't really need any credit and doesn't have much would have the highest score, right? But if you think that way, you would be wrong, and and a lot of it reminds me of the mindset of, we're only going to loan people money who don't need money because they're the most likely to pay us back. And that, by the way, is very true. Banks love lending you money when you don't need it, and as soon as you do need the money, you're seen as a higher risk because you need it. So really, this is just something you need to play into. It's how the system works, and according to Credit Karma, they want to see you with 21 lines of credit or more to have the perfect score. And for most people, I have a feeling this is going to take you a very long time to build up to. But I wouldn't stress about it too much. It only makes up 10% of your score. Although I would recommend you aim to diversify your credit profile over time, because long term, that is going to help you get an 800 plus credit score. And finally, fifth, we have the last component of your credit score, which makes up the remaining 10%, and that would be the total amount of inquiries on your credit report. Now, here's how this one works. Anytime you go and apply for new credit, it's reported to the credit bureaus and shows up on your report as what's called a hard inquiry. This helps lenders keep track of how many times you have on your credit report, the lower your score is generally going to be. Now, in addition to that, if you are out there getting new credit cards and getting new loans, that is going to reduce your average credit length history, which could end up further dropping your score as well. That's why so many people end up telling me that they've just opened up a new credit card and then all of a sudden their score drops by like 50 points. So no, it was not just the inquiry that did that. It was also the reduction in your total average length of credit history that impacted your score as well. The inquiry was really only a small component of that. The good news, however, is that all of this is really just a temporary thing, because hard inquiries only show on your report for the first 2 years, and they only impact your score for the first 12 months. Then after that, they drop off your report, and it's like it never even happened in the first place. The other good news with this is that if you're shopping around for an auto loan or a mortgage, and you'll need to run your credit multiple times with different lenders to get different rates, the FICO scoring method will generally just group all of those inquiries together as one, and therefore it's only going to impact you as if you ran your credit score once. So that way you could go to 5 different lenders for a mortgage, have them all run your credit 5 times, and it's only going to count as you running it once. Of course, as long as you do it within a relatively short period of time, within just a few weeks of one another. This is to promote rate shopping for you as the customer without penalizing you with your credit score. But again, this only makes up 10% of your overall credit score, so it's pretty minimal. But ideally, if you're going to want the Credit Karma Green score, they want you to have 0 hard inquiries in the last 12 months. Now, realistically, I think having 0 inquiries in the last 12 months is rather ridiculous, especially if you're out there going and getting like credit cards and getting bonus points and all that sort of stuff. So I think as long as you keep it to a minimum and are rather selective about the new credit you get, you should be fine. And also, if you're in the process of going and building up your credit, it's probably best you go and take out a lot of credit now while you still can, so that way by the time you actually need a good credit score, all of those hard inquiries will have dropped off your report anyway. This is exactly what I ended up doing. I took out a whole bunch of credit as early as I possibly could when I knew I was still building up my score, so that way 2 years later I knew when I would need the credit score it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Then once you've done all of the above, I have a few final recommendations. First, I would highly recommend you check your credit score every few weeks using a free service like Credit Karma, or another really great one is Credit Sesame. Both are really fantastic resources that update your credit score every week or so, and even though it's not going to be exact and it's not going to use the exact FICO scoring method, it's still going to be pretty close and going to give you a great representation of how you're doing credit score wise. The second, you could try a technique to increase your credit score known as credit piggybacking. Now this is where you become an authorized user on a credit card from someone who has a very extensive credit history. Now when you do that, their credit history could report on your credit account as well, and that might increase your credit score a lot in the short term. Now it's very important to note that not all credit card companies will do this, and the FICO scoring method has been cracking down on people trying to do this to boost up their scores artificially. But I wanted to mention this because this is something that can work depending on your situation and how it's done. Now I personally think it's probably better you just build up your own credit report on your own, and that way you have it with you no matter what. You don't have to worry about any of this stuff. But I think if you're a parent and you want to help out your child, look into doing this, and you could help them out immensely in terms of building up their credit score just by going and doing this one little trick. And lastly, following everything in this video, staying consistent with it and keeping very precise with how you manage your credit will end up helping you get a perfect score and end up saving you a lot of money and making you a lot of money. Now I will admit, having a score above 760 or so is not going to make a huge difference. Like having an 810 credit score is not going to give you a lower rate anytime you go and get a house as someone else with a 785 score. And honestly, anything above 800 is really just for bragging rights at that point. So really you should aim to keep your score anywhere above 760 to 780, and that will help make you the most amount of money, get you the lowest interest rates, and get you to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm if you have not done that already. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, if you guys enjoy videos like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so YouTube notifies you anytime I post a video. Also, feel free to add me on Instagram. I post there pretty much daily, so if you want to follow me there, feel free to follow me there. And then lastly, if you guys want 2 free stocks, use the Webull link in the description, and when you deposit $100, they're going to be giving you 2 free stocks, and one of the stocks is going to be valued up to $1,000. So my recommendation, if you want free stocks, just go and deposit the $100, get the 2 free stocks, get a pretty immediate return on your money, and then afterwards, if you want to use them for stock trading, they're great, and otherwise, you just go and cash out. Oh, one more thing, go and add me on my second channel, The Graham Stephan Show. I post there every single day. I'm not posting here. So if you want to see a brand new video from me every single day, go ahead and add me on that. And thank you again for watching, and until next time.